Hello again and welcome back. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today we're going back to the full deck challenge. We're up to card number 10. Today it is vintage and brown splatters. I'll just show you a little bit of what we're up to. This was last week's. This is Joy, and I'll just hold it up a little bit higher. And in the background here you can see that I used a serviette as a little bit of a background. I have covered it up quite a bit, but I put it down first. So today's bring forward item is going to be the same. It's going to be a serviette, but in more vintagey sort of colours. And I'm also going to be cutting out some advertisement components out of an old newspaper. So I'll just grab that. The newspaper that I'm using, you can see here, it's by the Courier Mail and it's 1951 Queensland Annual. I have a few of these. My great aunt, who's sadly not with us anymore, she would keep different feature items out of newspapers or feature magazines that were on special events like the opening of the Opera House. And my mother gave them to me a few years ago and said, would I like them? And I do tend to hold on to some things that are a sentimental value to the family. And my great aunt was very good at keeping lots of different things. She didn't hoard things, but she kept things that were important. And I think that I do that a little bit as well. I tend to use things that have a sentimental value to me, but I do tend to use them. I don't tend to just hoard them and put them away. I pulled these out because I thought I've got them in the cupboard. I may as well start using them. You know, whoever gets them after I'm gone is just going to throw them all in the bin anyway. So this one here, it looks like that they used to put out a annual like magazine and then send it around the world for people that wanted to emigrate to Australia or move states or something like that. And when I looked at this one, aren't these pictures just fabulous? Look at these ladies here. They're this is an advertisement for Players in Brisbane, 341 Queen Street. Now, it's not there now that I know of. And it says, your cruise and casual wear correctly styled for tropical holiday making by Players. Aren't those ladies just fabulous, getting ready to go on their cruise? So it's got some lovely, really vintagey advertisements in it. What I'm going to use today is, if I can find it, this one is Lambs, and it says Brisbane's modern department store. Now, we're talking 1951 here. I've lived in Brisbane for about 23 years. I've never heard of Lambs, but that doesn't matter because I'm obviously not from here. But it would have been around, and it looks like it was a very modern department store in the day. It was on Queen Street between George and Albert, so it's right smack bang in where the shopping mall is now. And it's got some great images. So this pair here is the couple that I'm going to be using, and they look like they're about to go on a trip somewhere, and they've had to go to Lambs to collect, to buy a new coat each and some luggage. I love this little blurb here that it says, a friendly welcome awaits you at Lambs, the modern department store that is everything a department store should be, ... wherein you will find quality merchandise sensibly priced. Don't miss calling into Lambs when visiting or passing through Brisbane. Can't you just hear that being read out on a radio or something? It's fabulous. I wish Lambs was still around because I would want to go to Lambs and check it out. But let's move on to the card. I'm going to be using these lovely people here that are going on a trip. And I think I'm going to pull out this, your cruise and casual wear, correctly styled. So you can kind of guess where I'm heading with today's theme. Now, I've also pulled out some other bits and pieces. They're not technically vintage, but they're in a modern version of a vintage print, and they're by Cartabella, and it's called Let's Cruise. And I have cut out the deck plan from out of here, and I think I'm going to use this for on the back of the card, something like that. And I've pulled out some of out of this one actually, the die cut pieces. So I've pulled out this little tag, some little bits and pieces. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use as yet. But I do have a few ones pulled out that I'm going to play with. So let's pick a card and then clear the decks and get organized. So I have, for a change, picked out the red cards this week. I've been having a bit of a run on black, so I thought it would be good to do a red card. So let's throw one out and see what we get. We are working with the 9 of Hearts. Beautiful. All right, I'll get started. I'll set the table up, and I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, so I've cut out and prepped a few things so that we don't take too long. I've fussy cut out our people, and they remind me of the people we were talking about when we were doing Franny's card, which was the dark green card, and my husband and I walking around the promenade deck and seeing Fred and Barbara, and saying hello to Fred and Barbara, and until we finally met them and worked out that their names were something different. So I'm going to assume that these people here are Fred and Barbara that we alluded to back when we did the dark green card. And I've also cut out that information that was about Lamb's, the department store, because I really liked that. And I actually took out your cruise and casual wear correctly styled. I thought that was great too. For those of you that watch each week, you'll know that my carry forward thing my constant needs to be a paint sample. So it's only going to be a very small snippet of paint today, but it is cut out of this one. It's cut out of Dulux Domino, and you can see that I cut out the letter C. And I'm going to use that to go on this tag for Cunard. I think that Fred and Barbara, they look like they would be Cunard sailors. That was my paint swatch, so we can pop that to the side now. You can also see that I've cut out an extra piece of card for this because I just think this isn't very stable, and so I want to back this so that it's got a little bit more strength to it. I'm going to start by actually sticking on that C so that I do not lose it. I don't want to get down the track and then be looking for that and have to recut one. So we'll just quickly glue that on. There's our C on our Cunard funnel. That will be fine. Beautiful. The next thing I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put down the serviette onto our card. So I have separated the serviette. I've taken off the back of it here, and I'm just going to use the front. Okay, let's glue that down. I might just trim it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to glue on this serviette. I like using this product for putting down the serviette, this Stamperia Mixed Media Art rice paper glue. It's easy to use, it dries quickly, it's strong, and it seals the fibers or the surface so that you can do other things on top, watercolor, some texture, whatever. You can do other things on the surface. And I'm just going to seal that. Okay, I'm just going to give that a blast with my heat gun and I'll be back. Okay, that's dried and I've just cut it down and tidied up the edges. I'm just going to prep the back of the card. Now I like this sky deck sign here, so I think that I'm wanting to position it so that it's got this on the back, around about there. Okay, so I've just cut down this for the back of the card, so it's ready. We're going to stick on Fred and Barbara. And I'm going to position our Cunard funnel tag on here. And I think I want Fred and Barbara. I want Barbara's shoes on here. I want to be able to see the 9 of hearts down here. Some of the luggage, because that's what they went to Lamb's department store to buy. So I'm thinking that Barbara needs to be around about there. And then I want to get on some of this newspaper that I've torn out. Oh yeah, I like that there. Because then we can read the story. A friendly welcome awaits you at Lamb's, the modern department store. Let's pop that in, and then that will cover up the hearts at the top, which is good. And then we've got your cruise and casual wear correctly styled. Okay, let's glue this down. This on here. Let's use some art glitter glue. Barbara's shoes. Yes, that's good. And we'll glue, actually we'll have to glue this one first. We're not going to see much of the Cunard, are we? Alright, I'm going to fiddle with this for a little bit, bear with me. Okay, what I think I'm going to do is I want to cover up those hearts at the top of Fred and Barbara's head. And I don't want to cover the C, so I think I'm just going to stick this just behind Fred's shoulder and then wrap it around the back, because then at least the story about lambs continues on. Not that you'll be able to read a lot of it, but I would like it on there. All right, let's stick that down. And I think I'm going to stick that down with this rice paper glue so I can seal it. Let's put some on the back of this. That was a bit of a figuring out. Just want to cover that heart with the text, and I don't want to cover the C. Right, now I'm actually going to give this a full coat so that it's got the same gloss level over everything. Okay, now let's glue down Fred and Barbara. And I don't want to lose her feet. I'll give them a coat, seal them, and I'll give that a blast with my heat gun so that it can dry. Okay, that's pretty good. That's getting dry. Now, what I'd like to do now, I think, is I might cut off Barbara's, cut off down the bottom of Barbara's shoes. Just tidy that up. And I want to tuck this one around. So let's do the back of the card now. Yes, I'm liking that. And I've got this piece here to just give this a bit of stability. So let's do the back. So all I did with this was I traced around this portion of this tag before I stuck it down, and just cut out a piece of black scrap, just because I knew that it wouldn't be stable enough to not have some support. So let's glue that on. Now, do I have any news? Yes, I do have news. The last time I spoke to you, we were bracing for a cyclone here in Brisbane, the 7th of March, and it arrived during the night, crossed land, early hours of Saturday morning, and the cyclone itself, where we live, wasn't too bad, but once it crossed land and it started to break up, that's when it got a little bit dicky. So we had a lot of really high wind, and we also had a lot of rain, and We've had a lot of rain all yesterday and all today. Today's the 9th, Sunday the 9th. All of the schools have been closed since Thursday. All of the major shopping centres closed on Thursday afternoon early, or Thursday night, and they didn't open on Friday or Saturday. Some of them opened on Saturday, I think, but supermarkets have been opened, and service stations and pharmacies, things like that, and hospitals for emergencies only. But the rain where I live has been non-stop, like really since not before the cyclone, but after the cyclone. So once we hit a tropical low, we've had quite a lot of rain, and I'm not sure, there probably is some flooding, but we have weathered the storm very, very well, and we're very grateful that we have had a pretty easy compared to some people. So that's my latest news. All is well with the cyclone situation here. Now I'm going to stick this on and then fold this over. So let's do that. I'm just trimming up the back here. That's good. All right, and we'll glue this over. We'll wrap it around so that the story can continue about lambs onto the back. I need to date the back. So I'm thinking I'd like to put on a few of these onto the back. Now, where are Fred and Barbara going to is the question. And I think they're going to all Europe via the smooth southern route or route, depending on which part of Australia you are from. Some say route, some say route. I like the look of this here on an angle, on a jaunty angle. Okay, let's stamp the date first. Today's date is the 9th of March 2025. However, I think I would like to put on 1951 because that's the date that Fred and Barbara went to Lambs. Now, I don't think that this stamp is going to go back to that. It's not. So we will stamp 2025 and then I'll cross it out and put 1951. All right, let's do that. Right, and then I'm going to cross this out and put 1951. Oh, that's great. And we'll stick that on there. Fred and Barbara going to Europe. I'd be happy to go to Europe at the moment. One of my sons lives in Europe and I would love to go and visit him. And he won't be watching, unfortunately, but if you are, sweetheart, hello from Mum. Okay, we've got the back of the card. Fred and Barbara are going to Europe via the smooth southern route. I'm not sure which route that is because I can't imagine going down around the Southern Ocean around the bottom of Africa would be very smooth. However, let's not question these things. All right, now back to Fred and Barbara on the front. Okay, I think I'd like to put some extra colour onto this. I've pulled out my Pitt pens. Here's the packaging for them. Faber-Castell 12 Pitt Artist pens when they're a brush, and they've got to find a tip on them as well. I use some cotton buds to blend or smudge them, but if you're wanting to smudge them, you've got a little bit of time, but you need to have sealed the surface. So I'm just going to put a little bit of colour onto the shadows. Give his suit a little bit more colour. make it a little bit livelier. You can see that I can smudge that and take the intensity down a little bit on it. And that's because the surface has got a bit of seal on it. Oh, he looks very sharp now. Just that little bit of green has made all the difference to that. I don't want to overdo it. Let's put a little bit of red on his tie. Now I'm not going to use the same tip. I'm going to use a different tip. I'm going to put red on her hat and on his tie and on her gloves. And I might do it on this bag down here. Oh, I might put some on that little bit of her skirt, hidden skirt in there. Yes, that looks good. Now, a little bit of yellow. And some on the suitcase. Yes, I'm happy with that. Okay, hopefully you can see that. See that Pitt pen has just brought that image to life, made it have a little bit more vibrancy. Okay, the next thing we need to do is some brown splatters. I don't have any brown acrylic paint, so I think I'm going to have to use some vintage photo. So I'm just adding some water. Okay, we've done some brown splatters. I'm not sure that I'm a fan of the brown splatters, but nevertheless, they've got to be there. I'll dry them off and then I'll come back. Okay, we're back with the brown splatters dry, and I need to put this on. Well, I'd like to put this on. Your cruise and casual wear correctly styled. Okay, I'm just gluing this onto some black card as a background, just so that it has a bit of dimension to it. Turn that down. Yes, let's put it there like that. Just to soften that luggage a little bit. Okay, we'll get some eyelets out and sort that out now. All right, we're just punching a hole in the card to create an eyelet hole. Pop an eyelet in. Just missed Fred's head, which is great. I'll just set that. And I think I'd like to punch a hole over here on top of the funnel where there was a hole in this tag, and put some twine in it. Ooh, that looks good. All right, let's clear the decks. Okay, I think I'm just going to put a black line around some of this to make it stand out a little bit more. So, yes, I think that's better. It's just given it a little bit of definition. I don't think I want to do it around the edge here. I think that there's enough going on there, and there's, dark patches around to give it depth. I'll bring it up close so you can have a good look at it. Okay, so here we have Fred and Barbara. They're going on a cruise, and they've been to Lamb's department store in Brisbane, and it's the 9th of March 1951, and they're going on a cruise to Europe on Cunard. and they needed to get themselves new coats and some luggage and some clothes, and Lambs is the place to go to get your cruise and casual wear correctly styled. Aren't they fabulous? There we go. So that's today. Let's add Fred and Barbara to the pack with the other people. Put them in with Joy. There we go. So if you liked hearing the story unravel about Fred and Barbara today, a thumbs up would be really appreciated, and think about subscribing to the channel. And I will see you all very soon, either with the next card challenge, which is number 11, or with another project that I'm working on. So thanks for tuning in, and bye for now.